What's good, ladies and gentlemen? It's your favorite Paw Patrol employee here, back to bring you guys what if Naruto was Bond's reincarnation. If you guys go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to slap that like button as well as tell a friend to tell another friend about the channel. And with that all being said, let's get started.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
So we start our story off in the perspective of a Naruto who was about 4 years old, who at this point literally just got kicked out of Hiruzen's household. Now the story of Naruto would have pretty much gone by just like it was in canon, meaning Kushina, Minato died, Naruto still has the nine-tailed beast sealed within himself, and one more thing I forgot to mention, Naruto's immortality is going to be there from birth. There is not going to be a moment where he has to travel to the forest, meet Elaine, fall in love, and have this insane backstory. Instead, Naruto learning of the powers of immortality that are bestowed within himself is going to be in a very, very dark manner. So we start our story off after Naruto at this point literally just got kicked out of his own home by Hiruzen. Now Hiruzen this time around did end up giving him a home, but the rent money that Hiruzen provided to Naruto, it's not enough. It's barely enough to cover rent, but not enough to cover foods. So most days, Naruto would go hungry. It was a process that happened over and over and over again. Every month he would have about 1 week of eating good before he has nothing. And then from there, Naruto has to resort to stealing. And that would almost always result in Naruto getting caught and beaten by the shop owners. However, one thing that Naruto would have noticed is while he did feel the pain, he always regenerated from it. So Naruto through the years would end up getting better and better at stealing things, until eventually he would have ended up stealing food from a bunch of villagers, and after a couple of years of doing this, Naruto would now be at the age of 7 years old. A bunch of the villagers would have ended up banding together saying that they were all going to kill Naruto on this day, saying that him being alive, his mere existence, is nothing but a nuisance to all of them. He is a thief. And they would end up pretty much going crazy at Hiruzen, telling him that he needs to get rid of their problem. Hiruzen, however, already having promised Minato and Kushina that he would take care of their child, would say that they shouldn't do this and that if they were to go through with it, they would be punished. But the villagers would not care at this point since they've had things stolen from them for years and they still didn't do anything that crazy about it. Of course, they would have on occasion beat Naruto, but it's not like they went all out, you know what I mean? I mean, they did kind of go all out, but it's like they never killed the kid or crippled him. So that's kind of the extent of beatings that he would have received thus far. This time, Naruto would end up walking out of his house and literally outside he would see a bunch of villagers just outside with pitchforks, with torches, with kunais, a couple of ninjas there, and Naruto would just look at them as, you know, the villagers are pretty much telling Naruto to get out of here. He isn't welcomed in the village. They would throw things at him, be like, "Thief! Since you like eating things so much, how about you eat my leftovers?" You know, they would throw like the leftovers of an apple at Naruto, and Naruto would just look down as he thinks, "I don't do it because I want to. I do it because I have to." From here, Naruto would end up just kind of looking down at the ground as he closes his door and tries to block out the noise, but the villagers would not stop. This would go on for hours and hours and hours, until eventually Naruto would start in his bed and think, "Everybody in this village hates me. I'm not wanted by the third Hokage. I'm not wanted by my landlord. Heck, I'm not even wanted by myself. What am I even alive for? What am I doing all of this for?" And eventually, he would come to the conclusion that there's really no purpose for his life. So Naruto would decide that he's going to end it all. At this point, Naruto would end up making his way outside of his apartment, sneaking past everybody. Seeing as he's a thief, he ended up learning a couple of abilities. A couple being the abilities of snatch, being able to take things while, by using these special abilities that Naruto found out he had. He always figured it was some sort of chakra ability that Naruto was just simply born with, something that he had an affinity for, but no, Naruto could not be any further from the truth. Instead, what ended up happening is Naruto makes his way towards the 4th Hokage monument. Up there, Naruto would take a sigh of relief before thinking that this spot right here, it always made him feel at peace, and he's glad that this spot is the same spot that's gonna be his grave. Before Naruto would close his eyes and jump off the cliff, we wouldn't have a moment with him regretting it, grabbing a kunai, or even trying to stop himself from falling to his impending death. Instead, Naruto would embrace it, as he would take this fall, and when Naruto hits, his body would splatter. He's dead. Or is he? Remember, Naruto has Bon's immortality. A fall from that feat was not going to kill Bon. He would have literally just regenerated. And that's exactly what happened to Naruto. About 5 minutes later, Naruto's body was put right back together as if nothing had happened. And Naruto would get up before bashing his hands at the floor saying, "No! This isn't how it was supposed to go. I was finally gonna be rid of this world. But this cursed body doesn't let me die. It doesn't even let me feel pain anymore. I'm numb." And, you know, a ninja would have actually been watching from a distance. Now this ninja would have actually been Kakashi Hatake. And when Kakashi would have bore witness to Naruto's attempted suicide, he would have immediately ended up using the body flicker to teleport right next to Naruto, who just a couple of minutes ago was bloodied and splattered, foreseeing Naruto bashing the floor, angry at the fact that he couldn't help with his own demise. And so, Kakashi would simply look at Naruto before asking, "Why did you do that?" Naruto would say, "What's it to you?" before he then pretty much vanishes into thin air. At this point, Naruto would decide that there's really no real point for him to even remain in the village. Everybody here just hates him. He might as well just train a couple of years and maybe come back when he's unrecognizable. And so, that's what Naruto would do. He would proceed to essentially just start training in the forest of death, that is. For years and years on end, Naruto would start mastering, training on these techniques, mastering abilities the likes that Bon used to have before he died. And in case you guys are wondering what period of Bon I'm talking about, it's not going to be the one that went into purgatory. I'm going to be saying that this time around, Bon did not survive in purgatory. He ended up being turned into a monster, and his soul ended up wandering elsewhere, into the Naruto verse. That's how Naruto's going to be Bon's reincarnation. But the process of that isn't really important to the story as much as what ends up happening to Naruto with the powers of immortality now bestowed upon him. So, what ends up going down from here is Naruto would train for a couple years on end until eventually he would end up making his way back to the village. He looks a lot different than he used to before. He has more of that iconic Bon hairstyle, and Naruto now has more of a laid back, strange appearance. One thing Naruto would have learned how to do in the forest was cooking, because Naruto had no other means of getting food. So during his time in the forest, Naruto would have ended up actually becoming an excellent chef, learning a bunch of techniques for seasoning with nothing but the things that he had at his disposal and things of those, of those sorts. That being said, what ends up happening after this is Naruto would return to the village right on cue before the graduation of the Genin. And when he would arrive in the village, he would pretty much end up going straight to the academy, where he would just walk in and Iruka would say, "What are you doing here?" before Naruto just proceeds to walk towards the back of the classroom and sit down. Iruka at this point would walk over to him and say, "Young man, you can't be here," before Naruto looks up at Iruka and says, "My name's Naruto Uzumaki." Iruka then would look at his files and be like, "Oh, you are part of this class," before he then ends up pretty much just teaching the class like normal. Naruto sits in the back more chill, laid back, and eventually class would end. At this point, Iruka would end up informing Hiruzen of the fact that Naruto's come back, and Hiruzen would say that that's fine, saying that I guess he'll just throw him into Team 7, seeing as Naruto's not even going to be an asset, so he's going to be needing somebody to keep him alive. That Sasuke Uchiha boy should definitely do the trick. And so, Naruto would be assigned to Team 7. In terms of the Mizuki situation, that doesn't actually end up bothering Naruto. Naruto doesn't even catch wind of any of that stuff because this version of Naruto doesn't have any real chakra control whatsoever. Naruto's chakra control is garbage. It's awful because this version of Naruto didn't rely on chakra while he was in the forest. Merely his physical strength, his speed, snatch, and his ability to hunt. So Naruto, in terms of having those types of special abilities, does not have chakra. Well, not exactly yet. He is going to be learning it later on, but he's actually going to be pretty bad at mastering chakra due to the influence of the Nine Tails. So when it comes to any other things, what we're going to be having happen is Naruto would pretty much end up just being in the room with Sasuke and Sakura when Kakashi would finally end up going in there about an hour later. Naruto would have just been pretty much taking a nap until Kakashi would tap him on his head saying, "Hey kid, let's meet on the top of the roof. Your Jonin sensei arrived." Naruto, seeing Kakashi, would say, "You're that man, aren't you?" Before Kakashi would immediately be shocked at the fact that Naruto was able to recognize him with his Anbu Black Ops mask on. And Naruto would end up saying, "Don't worry, that's none of my concern anyway," before he pretty much ends up using his speed to get to the top of the roof before anybody else could have gotten there. Keep in mind, Naruto was the last one to head up there. So he would arrive there before introductions would begin, and these would pretty much go the same like they do in canon up until Naruto's point, where he would say his goals, he doesn't have any. His goal is to die. Hearing this, Kakashi would remember back to that day where he saw Naruto fall from a cliff, and he was too late to stop it. But then, Naruto suddenly regenerated, as if he was an immortal. It was strange, but it seems as if this kid seeks only death. But Kakashi, taking note of this, would end up pretty much using his Shadow Clone Jutsu, dispelling it, and then everybody would find out that that was nothing but a clone. After this, everybody would go off their separate ways until the bell test would arrive. Now, when the bell test day does happen, what I think happens here is essentially Kakashi, Kakashi being the legend that he is, would proceed to, how do I put this? He would proceed to tell everybody the rules, you know what I mean? And when he's telling everybody the rules, everybody's just kind of like, okay. And the test starts. Kakashi just whips out his crazy book, and Naruto, seeing this, would say, "Make out paradise." He'd be like, "Dude, are you watching PR0N while we're fighting?" And Kakashi would immediately just be like, "What? What do you mean?" Naruto at this point would be like, "You weirdo," before he then rushes in at Kakashi and uses Snatch to take the Make Out Paradise book straight out of Kakashi's hands. At this point, Naruto would then say "burn" before his hand lights ablaze and he just destroys the book. Does Bond have the ability to light things on fire? Probably not, but let's just say instead of lighting it ablaze, Naruto just tears it into a million little pieces right in front of Kakashi's eyes. Kakashi, seeing this, would have a straight face before saying, "My book." And at this point, his eye would just start glowing as Kakashi would lift his headband up and say, "I'm gonna get revenge for that book." He would rush in at Naruto's direction and go all out. He would let out all of his rage. He would start using all of his best jutsus, all of his best taijutsu attacks, and as the battle would go on, Naruto would begin learning from all of these attacks. Think Broly. When he was fighting against Goku, he started adapting to his movements. He started learning how to fight as everything progressed, and he started becoming stronger as he tasted the thrill of a battle. Similar to what Naruto is currently feeling. Feeling these attacks hit him over and over and over, seeing the strange pattern that Kakashi moves in, seeing the hand signs that he's weaving, Naruto would start kind of trying to mimic one. And this is when Kakashi would finally say, "Wind style, Gale Palm," before hitting Naruto with an attack. But Naruto, at this point, would have pretty much ended up switching places with Kakashi using his snatch ability, and he would proceed to pretty much hit Kakashi with a Gale Palm of his own. Kakashi would be completely, utterly shocked, and Naruto would say, "Now that's an interesting ability." Before at this point, Naruto would have a slight grin on his face. When Kakashi notices this, he would think, "So, he likes to battle, does he?" Before he starts picking things up a notch. Even further, he would actually end up cutting one of Naruto's hands clean off, and in the span of 10 seconds, the arm would come right back to how it was. Kakashi, seeing this, would start going even crazier with his attacks, and at one point he would slit Naruto's throat. Seeing this, Sasuke and Sakura would end up puking, thinking, "You killed him!" Before Naruto then starts regenerating right in front of their eyes. And at this point, Naruto would simply say, "You like playing with things you don't understand, eh? Alright, let's see how you like this." before Naruto then proceeds to use his snatch ability to quite literally rip Kakashi's good eye right out of his socket. And Naruto holds it right in front of Kakashi, who at this point is seeing him with nothing else but the view of his Sharingan. Kakashi, seeing this, would think, how did he, before Naruto would rush right in his direction and say, snatch. Now, at this point, Naruto would start getting bigger in terms of mass, and he would grow to an insane size before he then looks at Kakashi, who at this point feels drained. Keep in mind, Kakashi has like limited chakra, so something like this would definitely impact Kakashi. An ability that drains chakra? Come on now. Part 1 Kakashi could never. Naruto at this point then starts completely making Kakashi look obsolete, destroying Kakashi with moves that were very, very similar to Kakashi's own, and Kakashi would begin getting outclassed in every shape, weight, and form. And by the way, guys, before I continue on with the series, I just want to let you guys know that the giveaway that I'm doing is still going on. So if you want to comment hashtag giveaway down below, you still have a chance to win. The first winner didn't ever initially end up commenting back or hitting me back. I tried contacting him like 3 times, didn't work. So I'm just gonna say that I'm gonna just choose another winner. So you still have a chance to comment giveaway down below in today's video and possibly win. Most likely thing is I'll probably be choosing the winner in terms of like 2 days, just to give a bunch of people the opportunity to comment down below. Also, if my voice sounds a little different, or it sounds like I'm trying to like sound deeper or something like that, it's not that I'm trying to sound deeper, it's just that some days I have horrible allergies, some days I don't, and then I can have my normal voice. But right now I have a snake in one of my nostrils and it's not coming out. So yeah, apologies if that did bother you in any way, shape, or form in today's video. That being said, after Naruto would pretty much end up destroying Kakashi, the team would watch as Naruto then rips the bells from his hand using snatch and says, you know, I could have done that from the very beginning, don't you? But for Kakashi would just pretty much be holding his eye. Naruto at this point would grab the eye before screwing it back into Kakashi's face. I'm totally kidding, he doesn't do that, but he does end up giving Kakashi his own eye back. He would end up having to go to a medical team to get his eye fixed, and afterwards they would end up going on about 2 weeks worth of pointless missions before finally Naruto would end up speaking up saying, old man, we need better missions. This is not doing anything in terms of helping us. We're literally chasing cats around. It's boring. It's worse than watching grass grow. I should know. Hiruzen would say, calm down, Naruto, before 2 Anbu would appear right beside Naruto and say, is that any way to speak to your Kage? Naruto at this point would look at both of them with this look of like, bro, you can try to kill me, but it's not gonna work. Like, I want you to try to kill me. He would look at them with the blink expression before saying, do it. Or are you terrified? Before the Anbus at this point would end up cutting Naruto's throat, and Naruto would fall into the ground before then getting right back up, and the wound would have sealed. Naruto would then rub the back of his head and say, I kinda knew you wouldn't be able to do it. Before Naruto would then kick one of the Anbu members outside of the building and then punch one of them 2 floors down. After this, he would look at Hiruzen and say he's not playing any more games. He wants a harder mission. And if he doesn't give him a harder mission, he'll go to another village that will respect his abilities. Hiruzen, seeing what Naruto just did, would have a slight grin on his face before saying, that power, we need that in this village. Looks like Naruto might be a little useful after all. Before he then proceeds to look at Naruto and say, very well then, have this mission. He would then proceed to introduce Tazuna into the room, as Tazuna would enter like a crazy drunk and then proceed to be like, Tazuna, this team is gonna be defending me. Oh, by the way, guys, Naruto's outfit is going to be exactly like, yeah, he's gonna be exactly like Bond. Actually, no, I'm gonna have him get that drip in Shippuden. So for right now, I'm just gonna be saying he doesn't have the original Naruto style, but he just has like a red shirt. He has like these black pants and like these black shoes or white shoes. No, not white shoes. They didn't have white shoes back in those days. Yeah, just normal ninja like shoes. The Jiraiya ones, you know what I'm saying? So with that aside, what ends up happening is the team would pretty much prepare to get ready before finally, you know, going to the bridge the next morning. However, as Naruto was attempting to leave, Sasuke would have actually ended up stopping him, asking him how he didn't die. He watched him get his throat slit before him 2 times already, and Naruto simply walked right back up as if nothing had happened. Naruto would look at Kakashi, no, not sorry, not Kakashi, but Sasuke, before he then says to him, if you're thinking that this is some cool ability, this is something you can learn through chakra, it's not. It's a curse that I was born with. And you'd be damn, you're so damn lucky you weren't. Because I won't be able to die. Not now, not ever. I've already tried it. Sasuke would look at Naruto before having that realization finally hit him. And this is when Naruto would walk off, before then getting ready for the very next day, which will be covering the Land of the Waves arc. And yeah, that concludes today's video. What did you guys think about it? Did you guys like my interpretation of Naruto with this immortality, viewing it more as a curse rather than something that he was blessed with? And how do you guys think that the arc against Zabuza and Haku is going to be playing down? Not only that, how are the Chunin exams going to play out? And this series is definitely going to be one that I actually finish this time around. It's going to be a 4-part series or 3-part series. So if you guys want the next part of this video, smash the like button with a 12 like goal. 12 likes is a like goal for today's video. So as soon as you guys get that, I'm going to be bringing out the next part, probably the next day or the next day after that. I'm not really sure, but I'll definitely be dropping a part 2 to this series very, very soon. That being said, it's been your boy Zether. I love each and every single one of you guys, and I am out. Peace.